Welcome to our first People's Pundits interview following the launch of the football podcast in June of this year. We're now a dozen episodes in with my footballing other half, Ian Hart, and I'm so pleased to have a fantastic and inspiring first guest with an incredible story. Jules Dowell joins me today. He's an ex-footballer whose career was cut tragically short aged 17 after a car crash left him paralysed from the chest down. Then followed 10 gruelling months in hospital and rehab, after which George stepped back into the footballing world, first managing a team and then amazingly becoming chairman of Worthing FC, situated just 2 divisions below the conference, aged only 22. So welcome, George. Thank you so much for coming along today. So I guess now you're an experienced chairman at 25 years old.
Nice. Getting old now. So yeah, a few years in it now.
So if we sort of kick off going back in with your sort of footballing career and playing football,
yeah.
Where did that all start, the interest? Was it family, friends, your dad, or how did you get
Yeah, my dad
interest?
mainly. My dad was, used to play football more locally. And so, I used to go along, watch him and stuff. And then, just loved it. So he took me up to Worthing United, Lions Farm, and I joined there. My dad and all his mates seemed to have a kid at the same age, so we kind of went en masse there, and we all stayed there pretty much till we were.
So what age did you sort of play football at Worthing from and to then with that group?
Started at under 5s, and then we were pretty much all of us were still there at under 18, so we played together throughout the whole thing.
So what type of player were you then? Were you like a hard man or a sort of cultured footballer?
I liked a big tackle, I'd say. So I wasn't, and probably when I was younger, not as cultured as maybe the others, but I used to get stuck in, although I was quite small. But
And were you a defender?
I started off as a centre midfielder, and then as I got older but didn't really grow, I went back to right back. I ended up as a right back. Yeah.
So when did you get picked up? So I guess Worthing Football Club picked you up at a certain age, did they?
The youth team, Worthing Youth, sort of had a trial day. So me and a few mates from Worthing United went to the trial day and got in at Worthing under 18s. So kind of went from there really. And
what was the highlight? Do you think your best footballing moment as a player? What do you look back on as your real highlight?
For Worthing, definitely there was one game we were 2-0 down with sort of 10 minutes to go, and we managed to come back, and I went on a mazy run from right back and won the penalty that got us the goal.
Fantastic.
Before, and I think when I was in hospital, actually, they had the awards night at the end of that year, and I think I won the Memorable Moment award or something for that dribbly run. So.
And where did you get to, I guess, standard-wise? What was the highest standard you sort of got to in the end as a player?
Played for the county, so played for Sussex, and I was due to have my England schools trials in the summer after my injury. So.
And you got to the first team at Worthing, or didn't you?
I got on the bench a couple of times, before my injury. So. Yeah, it was a good experience, but never got to come on or anything. So.
And then I guess at that point, that was when, we alluded to at the beginning where your life took a dramatic turn, I guess, with the accident itself. I mean, if you look back at that time, what are your sort of memories of that day?
Yeah, I was just out with some mates. We just wanted some food, so it's just like any normal evening really. Went to grab some food, coming back, and I don't remember too much about the crash itself. I remember waking up briefly before I'd been sort of cut out of the car and passed out really. And
so that was just that brief moment in the car as your only sort of memory on the run up. Where were you? Were you in the back? Because you weren't driving the car, were you?
No, I wasn't driving. I was front seat passenger. So.
And what's your next memory then? So obviously you mentioned you were cut out of the wreckage, and so then I guess it's hospital. And what are your memories of the hospital? Were you just like heavily sedated and stuff, or what can you remember of that period?
I remember I think I went to Chichester Hospital to start with, and then I remember my family coming round, and my uncle actually came and he goes, "I guess you won't be playing Sunday then." I was like, "No, well, probably not." But he was just trying to obviously lighten the mood and stuff.
Absolutely.
I don't remember too much from the hospital really.
When did you sort of become aware of how severe the injuries were that you had?
And I remember waking up, like in and out of consciousness, waking up and them talking about whether I'd be getting airlifted to Salisbury spinal unit or getting this special ambulance. And I just remember them constantly talking about how I'd be getting to Salisbury spinal unit. So obviously hearing them mention the spinal unit, I kind of guessed what was wrong. But I didn't know how serious it was or anything until, I'd say, probably a couple of weeks afterwards, when I was not on such high drugs and yeah, a bit more with it.
Can you remember that moment when you, I mean, were you just sat with your family and stuff when you were told of the detail of it?
Well, my family already knew. I think they were quite blunt with them. They sort of told them that night, really, the night of the injury, what had happened and how severe and what to expect going forward.
Can you remember being in a lot of pain during that time of the car at the hospital? Were you so sort of,
No,
you know, with the drugs and everything, that was sort of managed?
Yeah, no pain at all. I think my body had obviously shut down because the spinal unit was injured, and I think that's just what your body does. It just shuts down. So I couldn't feel any pain as such. The only pain I had this, like, for the first 4 weeks, I had this like halo thing on my head with weights hanging off the back of it. So I'd be laying flat and then there'd be weights hanging off this halo to keep my head still. And because my head had been on it for so long with the weights and stuff, the back of my head was really sore.
How many weeks were you in a position like that where you were just lying on your back and with that?
That halo thing was about 4 to 6 weeks, I think it was. I was just laying flat on my back. And then they put this halo vest on, which meant I could start getting up, but obviously not straight away. So then I was probably there for another 4 or 5 weeks with the halo vest on, then started getting up and sitting up in bed.
But that 4 to 6 weeks, I mean, you sort of scooted over that. But I mean, I don't mind. My sister recently had an injury. She had 3 days where she was on, basically having to lie on her back and not moving. She said it was just horrendous. And you just mentioned like 4 to 6 weeks. I mean, how do you get through? Because there's the physical side, but I guess mentally, I mean, how do you get through like day to day, hour to hour through that?
A lot of Channel Dave TV, really. Top Gear and Jeremy Kyle. But no, and I had a lot of really good friends and family who would come and see me during the day and sort of break the days up for me. So we had one friend who'd come up twice a week, and then my auntie and uncle would come up, pretty much every day. My mum moved up there completely, so she was there every day. And and Dad was there at weekends. So pretty much every day really I had someone up there
around you.
To come and break the day up a little bit. But you get to a point really, because everyone in there is in sort of the same boat, so you kind of, and the doctors and nurses and that, they've all seen it before and sort of try and reassure you that your life's not over, it's just different and there's still opportunities and possibilities out there for you, and it's just finding a new way of doing things, and that's how you. I kind of clocked onto that quite quickly, and they had different people who'd come in and do talks that had this like a similar sort of injury.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few guys that used to come in and you see that like what they're doing with their life, and it's just it just makes you realise really that your life's not over. It's just different. You've got to try and make the most of it and not mope about if you can help it.
Yeah. And physically then, because we mentioned earlier, it was sort of like the whole period, I think you said, was about 10 months from the accident and the rehab and before you like were able to go home. So what did they do with you physically, and where did you need to get to be able to be allowed to go home, if you like?
I had the halo thing with the weights for 4 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks, and then had the halo vest, which meant I could start getting up. But even just doing that, after you've been laying down for so long, every time you sit up, I was kind of sick or feel really ill because my blood pressure would be quite, because you've been laying down for so long. When you lay down in the morning, if you get up too quick, you feel a bit. So every time I was getting up, I was just being sick, and then when I was getting back to bed, I was being sick. So
was there particular things you needed to be able to do before you could go home and
once you start getting up, you start seeing the physios and stuff. I'd have that 3 times a week or something. Start using like a hydro pool there, so they just generally try and strengthen the muscles that you have left and show you different techniques of daily living, really, like how to open doors in a chair, and if you haven't got grip, how to hold things, and just loads of different tips and tricks that the physios and OTs have learned through the years, and make you little contraptions for you. Like I've got a splint for my hand that holds my finger out so I can use my iPad and stuff, and a different thing for my toothbrush and fork, and so I can eat. So they make all this stuff for you and sort of give you templates to take home, so that if it does break, you can take it back and get another one made. So they just prepare you, really.
You have, I mean, what is sort of like for you now, sitting here, obviously, that you haven't had like any kind of head injury then, really, from this? No,
the only other injury I had was just a gash on my hand, really, and no like cuts or major cuts or anything. And so my level of injury is C5, C6, which means I'm paralysed from about here down.
Right.
I have use of my arms, my wrists, but not my triceps. I have my arms are just on and off really because of the level is between C5 and C6. There's not a definite cut-off point, so some of my arms, some function of my arm works, some other bits don't, so I haven't got full control, but I've got control, but I haven't got like full functionality, I guess you'd call it.
And how did you feel about going home? Because I guess after 10 months, I don't know if you become, I was going to say institutionalised, that might be a bit over the top. You know, you've spent 10 months in like hospital and rehab, and suddenly now you're coming home. And were you like thinking, this is fantastic, I've been waiting for this moment? Or was there a bit of you that was a bit of trepidation about going back? Or
I was desperate to get home because all the friends that had been coming up to see me, I knew that I could see more of them if I was home. And obviously I had my girlfriend at the time who would be coming up every weekend and staying over. I know it would be easier for her if I was home. And I just wanted to be home and surrounded by the people that I know, and my friends and everything like that. Just wanted to be home. But obviously didn't want to rush it because I didn't want to get home and then struggle and, do you know what I mean, have no idea what I was doing. So they kind of had this this like organised flat in the hospital.
Oh, right,
so like,
okay.
before you were due to go home, you'd go and stay in there for a few nights and not rely on the nursing staff at all at the hospital, and you're just kind of self-sufficient in
that sort of independence
in this flat. So I'd stay there a few times, and then I was desperate to go home for Christmas. I came home in January in the end, but they let me go home for Christmas for a couple of days. Then I'd have to go back up to the hospital afterwards. And while I was at home over Christmas, it was fine. And I told them that I think I'm ready to leave. The physios were all happy with my progress and thought I was okay to leave. So then they kind of sign you off and you're out.
And what was it once you are home? At the beginning, what was a typical day like for you then? Once you're back at home?
Nothing. That was I wasn't really doing much, to be honest. I was home, but all my mates were working during the day, so they'd maybe pop round in the evening, or we'd go out and go to the cinema and stuff like that. But when I first came home, I didn't realise how worried I'd be about what other people thought when I first got home. Obviously, the people that I'd been seeing while I was in hospital, they all knew me for the person that I am post-injury sort of thing, and I'd got used to me in my situation now. But the guys that who I hadn't seen since before I was injured, I was kind of worried about going out too much and bumping into people that I hadn't seen for ages and how they'd kind of react to me being in a chair and stuff. So that was quite hard when I first moved back. But eventually you start meeting all these people again. And
was it? I mean, I guess we're all different, aren't we? So I guess some people were okay with it. I'm assuming you must have had some friends who found it quite.
Yeah, they just found it. And no fault of their own. I wouldn't blame anyone because it's completely different. They just didn't know what to say, I don't think, and don't know how it's best to act. But I think the more and more time I spend with them, they realise that I am the same person, just in a chair.
Do you think because I mean, how would you describe your personality before the accident in terms of the sort of guy you were then to what you're like now and post that? Do you think it's changed? Are you the same guy, or do you think your personality's changed as well as from what you've been through?
I think my personality's definitely changed a bit. I used to be more sort of, I guess, in your face, not horrible or anything like that. Just like middle of the group sort of thing, like bouncing between people and just trying to be life and soul, I guess you'd call it, of the party or whatever. But whereas now I'm a bit more reserved and still like confident, but like more quiet and happy to sit in a corner amongst a group of people and just chat to the people around me rather than be, do you know what I mean, bouncing around. And I think that's just circumstance, really. It's easy for me to sit there and sort of take it all in rather than to be back. And I guess it just made me grow up, really. There was a lot I had to deal with at sort of 17, and it just made me grow up. So.
And even part of that, I mean, one thing was, which I guess was going on in parallel, there was a whole like legal case, compensation case. So how long did that go on for?
That went on for about 2 years. So after I left hospital, that was still going on, and kind of the ramifications of that I knew were huge, and it kind of made me have to grow up and really try and work out with lawyers and stuff, that obviously situations I'd never been in before and didn't expect to be in, and talking about sort of large sums of money and trying to get your head around it, really, and what that money's for and how long that money's got to last. And yeah, it might sound like a lot now, but you've got to try and work out how much of that you're going to need to use later in your life, and not to spend it all as soon as it comes in, sort of thing, and not to be stupid. So.
And did that give you did that give you sort of a focus of something to work on, or was it like really traumatic? How did you find that whole dealing with the legal case and everything?
I tried not to think about it too much. The whole hospital experience really taught me patience, and that things don't happen straight away. Everything I was going through would be like, all right, we're going to start this treatment now, or this physio now, and you'll start seeing the benefits in like 3 or 4 weeks. Whereas when I first got there, I was always expecting like, as soon as I start getting up in the chair, I'm going to be able to go around, go here, go there. It made me realise that, it's a gradual thing, and eventually you'll get there. And that helped with the court case. I knew that it was going to be going on for a long time. So I tried not to think about it all the time, and just think about it when I had to. And then sort of, because you'd think about it for like a few hours in a day, but then realise you can't actually do anything about it. So it's pointless. You might as well just let it run its course, and then when you've got to make the decision, then don't think about it again, and then so on and so forth. So it's hard not to when you think about you sort of, I needed that money to kind of get home, because I needed to buy and adapt a house that I could live in. It was just lucky that my auntie and uncle found a house that was kind of ready to move into as soon as I got home. It was just quite open plan, so the wheelchair could get through the doors and stuff, which obviously most houses aren't. So.
And what was the point when you got to the area? Well, because you mentioned it first, it was like you were seeing friends in the evening, you were spending a lot of time home, TV and stuff. Obviously, you had the court case going on. But what was the moment when you started sort of getting involved in terms of living life again? You sort of living a different life and starting to do stuff, because we know where you've ended up. So what was the first way you sort of
when I was in hospital, my mates always used to say, "Right, you need to start a football team because we'll all come and play for you," sort of thing. And I thought at the time, that's a good idea. But then when I left hospital, and my plan was to do it sort of straight away, but I realised when I got home I wasn't ready to do it. I didn't want to sort of see everyone again and straight away. I would rather do it gradually. But then I got to a point where I sort of stuck at home, not doing anything, and I quite like a project and to be busy and doing stuff. So I thought, right, I need to do it now. And if I jump in 2 feet, get something going, start a football team, then I'll have to meet people and I'll have to be out, and I can't. It's not something I can start and then just give up on like 6 weeks in and go, actually no, I don't want to do it.
You're committed to it.
Yeah, you're committed to it. It took a lot to set it up, and I can't ask all my mates to come and leave their teams they're playing for, come and play for me, and then 6 weeks in just quit and go, no, I don't want to do it. So 2015 I think it was, I said, right, I'm gonna make a team. Spoke to my mates about it. They were all like, cool. Some of them were playing at too high a level to join, because we had to start right at the bottom. So I kind of completely understood that they were playing sort of county and above, and that they weren't going to drop down 8 or 9 leagues to come and play for us. But the mates who maybe weren't playing at a team at the time, or do you know what I mean, weren't necessarily at a high level, came and played, and it was brilliant. Really, it just gave me that way in, really, to start meeting people again, and being out of the house, and obviously involved in football, which I love. So it just gave me that that's that start that I needed, really, and that boost.
Another bit of course, on a more light-hearted note, we'll talk about the football again a bit more in a moment, but you also, during this time, I guess, did the Undateables TV show. So for those people listening to this or watching this who don't know, it's probably worth you explaining what the Undateables is, and then how you came to be a part of it.
Well, I guess briefly, the Undateables is a dating show for people with disabilities, and basically tries to find them a date, and tries to get the message across that everyone is dateable and everyone is looking for love, and and it kind of, I guess, promotes the fact that people with disabilities also are looking for that as well. So that's just brief about the Undateables. And how I got involved was, I'm on the spinal unit, Salisbury Spinal Unit page on Facebook, and a few of the guys on there were putting their names forward for Undateables and said that I should do it too, so I did. And then a few hours later they kind of...
A few hours later?
Yeah, it's crazy. It was really, really quick. They rang me back, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. They'd rang me, really, and I didn't expect anything to come of it, and they rang me, and then I had this screening thing, and they liked that, and then they came and met me and wanted me to go on it.
So you got your date. So how long had it been since you'd been on a date then, when you went on this?
I'd never been on a date. I met my girlfriend before I was injured at sort of 15 through school friends and stuff, so we weren't really dating. It was just, you meet and then, all of a sudden you're going out with each other, and then, so that went from there, and then split up with her probably a year or so before I went on the Undateables. Never didn't go on a date.
Wow, so that must have been quite traumatic then. So were you practising your lines then, were you, your chat?
No, I didn't try not to think about that either. I just wanted to turn up on the day and see what happened.
See how it went.
It was nerve-wracking, obviously, a camera.
Yeah,
camera there watching you dating and
date
stuff.
For ages, and you've got a camera there.
Yeah, so that was a bit awkward, but no, it was fine. It was good fun. I really enjoyed it, and they're all really lovely people.
She had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
So it was a good day, was it? She was nice, was she?
Yeah, she was nice. She was all right. She was cool.
And where did you go out?
We went to a bar in Hove, and then to the dog racing in Brighton.
There you go.
So yeah.
The old charmer.
Yeah, I know. Right? Yeah, it's a good day.
So again, but that's an important thing, isn't it? I guess that's about confidence and getting out there, like you say, living a life still and everything.
Not just moping about at home playing Xbox, which I was kind of stuck in right doing when I first got back. So yeah, that was just another thing that it was just a good experience. And I thought, why not? I could have quite easily gone, no, it's not for me. But just thought, well, if I do it, it'll be a laugh. See what happens.
So Worthing Football Club then, into where you are now. So I mean, I mentioned at the intro, that is that right? 22, you became chairman. So just give us like a top level view of how that came about. You taking over at Worthing, and I think there was some interesting people that were owed money and stuff as well. So how did you first get involved, and how did you manage to sort of take control?
It all came about through me starting Worthing Borough Up, really, because I realised once I started Borough Up that there's nowhere really for us to train, and the places that we were playing our matches weren't necessarily the great pitches and stuff like that. So I had an idea of trying to find some land in Worthing and kind of build a football centre for the local clubs in Worthing so they could train. And obviously it would be a home ground for Borough, so it would kind of kill two birds with one stone. So that's what I wanted to do. And then I didn't meet Calvin, I knew him anyway because I'm good mates with his son who was playing in my team, and I knew that he did some stuff with property and that, so I spoke to him and said, if you ever know of any land or you know anyone that's selling some land like in Worthing, just let me know, because I've got this project, I want to do a football pitch and a 3G pitch. And he said, why not speak to the guys at Worthing, because as far as he was aware, they were struggling financially and they already had this planning permission in place for a 3G pitch, but just didn't have the funding to do it. So I kind of said, that would be cool, mate, I might look into that, but then sort of put that on the back burner for a bit, because obviously I had Borough.
Yeah.
And then about 2 or 3 weeks after he'd said that, it came out in the paper that they were struggling financially and they were kind of very close to going out of business. So I thought, well, obviously that's the club I played for, I don't want that to happen. Firstly, and number two, that might be a prime location. It would be really good for Worthing to have a 3G pitch and sort of a hub for football, and also be the Premier team in Worthing's home ground. And so that kind of fitted my plan, really. So I went and spoke to the guys at Worthing and sort of said what my ideas were, and they liked the ideas, and it kind of just went from there.
You had to sort out some people that owed some money, though, didn't you, by the club? So because there were some people that had some alternative plans to yours, weren't there? Yeah,
well, there was a guy who was obviously owed the money that Worthing owed some debts, and there was a guy that was owed some money, and not necessarily a football fan, and he knew that if it went to the wall at Worthing, then he would be left their biggest asset, which was the lease on the ground. So what he would have done with the place is not for me to say, but it might not have been football necessarily.
So you're chairman of Worthing at 22, and the I guess that transition of suddenly you've not, I guess, really had a full-time job up to that point.
No.
So this is almost like your first job, and you're chairman of a football club. So how did you sort of manage that transition with people working for you and stepping into the club?
Yeah, it was weird. Obviously, I'd only being 17 when I was injured, I was working at the time and at college, but obviously never thought I'd be in a position that I am now at 22 at the time. I just kind of did it gradually, really. It's me and Calvin working together with, not a lot of other people, and then eventually you realise, oh, we need a person in this position and we need a person in that position, and I say I'm still learning really. I'm probably not the best at it by any stretch of the imagination, but we've got better over the 2 years.
Hang on, I've got to say, your first year as chairman, if I've got this right, you actually got promoted.
Yeah.
So you like the special one, like Joe's
chairman,
are you? Covered in.
Yeah, no, it was a brilliant first season, wasn't it? It was like
what do you think was the
storm, really.
Made it happen? Was it about players you signed? Was it about the manager you got in? What would you say made it so successful that first year?
I think just before we got there, obviously because the club had been struggling so much, their budget had been cut to nothing, so they were left with just players that really wanted to play for the club and young players as well that had been together for 2 years already. So they were coming into their third year as a group, and it was quite a tight-knit group. They were all friends and really good team spirit. But at the start of that year, like 3 weeks after I took over, the manager at the time got offered a job at Brighton. So he left. So that was almost like our first thing.
Wow.
Like we've been here 3 weeks and we've got to pick a new manager now. But then, yeah, we went with John and Gary. John was already there and Gary was coming in as a player.
Yeah.
We thought together they would work really well. So, yeah, got them in, and everything just seemed to go right that season.
And did the crowds go up? What did the crowds sort of? I don't know,
Yeah,
what sort of crowds were you getting it worded, and did that improve with the success?
I think before I got there, it was between 150 and 200, and then it kind of went up to almost 550 in the first year. I think the average was.
Wow.
So it was crazy. But I think that's got a lot to do with the 3G pitch and really bringing the club back to the community and stuff, and not just being open for match days, but being open all week and kids training on it through the week and having the development centre and having the first team players coaching in the development centre, and then kids wanted to come back and watch the players on a Saturday, and it just all fed off each other, I think, and it was, it's just, brilliant.
Perfect storm, as you say.
Still is now, yeah.
And so what is it? So now you've got a bit of the tougher side of it, of course, because in more recent times, I know you've parted company with your manager, and it's been a tougher start to the season. So you're now on the market for a manager. So I see there's like, Frank de Boer, Harry Redknapp, all available.
Were you at the moment, aren't they? But yeah, it's tricky, really. We know who we...
Don't go for Harry, by the way.
No.
I don't know what compensation money you got, but he'll spend it.
I know. Hear the stories, but yeah. So yeah, we're in search for a manager now. It obviously didn't start the season too well, and we had some issues with obviously the pitch and stuff, which has been out there, and hopefully we'll be back playing at home in October-ish time. So hopefully that problem will be sorted and we'll have a new manager, and hopefully we would have turned a corner. But yeah.
What's your ambition for the club in sort of, I don't know how long you expect to be there, but what's your sort of vision or end game with Worthing?
We set a 5-year plan out to get 2 promotions in 5 years.
So you got one of them
already? Got the one already,
yeah.
The second year we sort of mid-table in the Ryman or Bostik Prem as it is now. So we did well in our second season, that's where we wanted to finish, sort of mid-table. And then this whole pitch scenario has probably put us back a year. So this year, we haven't written it off.
This is basically where the is it a 3G or 4G pitch?
3G pitch,
3G pitch they're saying it's not meeting FIFA regulations.
Yeah, not meeting FIFA regs. I think there's something to do with the sub base is incorrect, and
so you're having to play games at Bognor.
So having to play our home games at Bognor at the moment, but hopefully that will all be sorted by October, and we'll be back playing at home, and hopefully get back on track then. And we're not writing this season off. We're not saying this season's dead, but we're not including it in our 5-year plan. So we'll have 3 years after this to get the other.
You can do that as chairman, can't you? You can just change it and say,
no,
this is what we're working to now. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So when you're not, at Worthing Football Club, what are you doing? When you're away, what are you doing to unwind when you're not being chairman?
Just chilling with mates really, and pretty easy going. Either going to watch other games or going to cinema or out for food, or just mooching at my house or whatever. Really, and
it's a good core of mates, basically.
Really good group of mates, and support me with everything really. And, it's good.
Well, I have to say, it's been fantastic having the chat with you, and I'm so pleased that you agreed to be our first interview. And I think just in catching up before this, your the sense of humour, the stuff you've been through, and I think the challenge is it puts for all of us when we think we're having tough times, right? It puts it all in perspective, and to do it at such a young age is incredible. So,
Cheers.
a massive thanks for joining us on this today.
Nice, thanks for having
really
me.
appreciated.
Cheers.
So, if you want to hear more from George, specifically around his football opinions, which I have to say are questionable, as he's a Man U fan, right, which is not good for me, then I think myself and my esteemed colleague, Mr. Hart, have managed to persuade George to come on one of our future People's Pundits football podcasts. So look out for that. You'll see details on your screen at the end. Also, along with some of the organisations that have really helped George on his journey, like the Backup Trust that he mentioned, the charity, the Spinal Injuries Association and Salisbury Hospital. So all that's left is for me to wish George and Worthing FC all the best for the remainder of the season, and of course your search for a manager and your next appearance on the Undateables Revisited. So I can give you a few lines for that, don't worry.
Yeah, no, I should be all right on that one.